India's Prime Minister is speaking out for the first time since Indian forces attacked what they called terrorist targets in Pakistan and in Pakistan-controlled Kashmir. Narendra Modi calling for, and I quote him here, continued alertness and strong coordination. His comments come as more shelling is reported by both sides across Kashmir's de facto border. And Pakistan is claiming it has shot down more than 24 drones that were launched from India. As we reported in detail yesterday, Pakistan is vowing to retaliate to these strikes. India says these strikes were carried out in response to the deadly massacre of more than 24 tourists last month in the Indian-controlled part of Kashmir, which it blames on Pakistan. Pakistan denies any involvement. Well, Nick Robertson has been on top of this story for us all week. He is in the Pakistani capital of Islamabad for you today. It's good to have you. Nick, let's just pick apart what we know here and drill down on the details. Tell us more about these drone attacks, if you will.
Yeah, loitering munitions, these drones that come and loiter over a target and then zero in on the target and explode. That's what Pakistani officials are saying India is sending over. Now, India has said that it sent these drones to target air defense systems. But I think when you kind of just take half a step back here and kind of look at the bigger picture, you get the sense that this is now a rolling, continuing conflict. You know, the allegation of this, we did that, allegation of this, we did that. The picture that emerges, it seems today, we went into last night thinking, having heard from senior Pakistani officials that they were vowing retaliation and they would retaliate for India's strikes killing those 31 people. And we knew that there was an uptick in offensive across the line of control, the de facto border in India and Pakistan-controlled Kashmir up there. And actually right now the Pakistani information minister says the Pakistani side have killed 40 to 50 Indian soldiers across that line. That's the sort of rolling nature of how this is sort of picking up. But I think what even government officials here weren't expecting as of very, very late last night, in the early hours of today, was to have this rolling drone attack, these 25 drones, and this rolling drone attack that began about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and has gone on through the day. One landed in Rawalpindi, about 10 miles from here. A lot of destruction around the main cricket stadium there. It's really rattling people here in Pakistan, and it's not really what the government, I think, was expecting. The drones have hit in Karachi in the south. In the deep south, somebody in the fields there was killed by a drone. 4 military personnel in Lahore, city of 13 million people, 13 miles from the border with India. 4 military personnel there injured when one of those drones got through. So you have strikes in the deep south, in the heartland in the middle, here in the north. It's that sense of unease now is creeping into the population that this is not the normal form of tit for tat. This is sort of beginning to be rolling conflict. And you have to add to that, Pakistan still hasn't done what it said it would do and have those revenge attacks for the Wednesday attacks.
India confirmed it targeted air defense systems in several locations throughout Pakistan. The announcement marks the first time India has taken ownership for targeting Pakistani military installations as fears of a wider regional conflict continue to grow. With us now, CNN military analyst, retired U.S. Army Major General James Spider Marks, and geopolitics analyst and former editor of the Hindustan Times, Bobby Ghosh. I think both of you, gentlemen, feel that each nation is looking for a way to declare victory and get out of this. But how they find a way to do that is the question here. And Spider, let me just start with you. From a military standpoint, what are we seeing on the ground right now?
John, I think what's going to happen next is Pakistan certainly reserves the right to respond and has indicated that they will respond. I think that's true, but I think it's going to be very measured. Look, the Pakistan military is not as, number one, as large and as professional as the Indian military. And I think there's some symbolism here. Pakistan to its people must respond in some way, irrespective of the ownership of the terrorist organization that Pakistan legitimately hosts inside its borders and conducted the raid into India a couple weeks ago and murdered 26 people. Pakistan will probably respond. It will go against targets that I think are known to both sides. Look, the Kashmir has been fought over and has been contested for decades. China also, bear in mind, has a dog in this fight because they share that border, that contested region. So I think what's going to happen is there will be a response. I think it'll be measured. And I think both sides will probably say, we've maintained our honor and we can walk away from this. Also, we need to see what both Beijing and the United States is doing in terms of trying to counsel those moves.
All right, I want to get to both those points with you, Bobby. First, what will it take for each side to walk away?
I think Spider put it best. But each side has to be able to say, we won something. Each side, through their propaganda arms, has to be able to convey to their own people that we're walking away with our honor intact. And we've seen this movie before. This has happened several times in this conflict, most recently in 2019. On that occasion, India struck back after a terrorist attack, hit several targets in Pakistan, but an Indian plane went down. The Pakistanis arrested the pilot and then returned the pilot home, and that was Pakistan saying, here's a gesture of magnanimity on our part. We're the bigger people here. And the Indians said, well, we were able to hit targets in Pakistan, so we've got what we wanted. That's what you need here. It would help to have a mediator to bring both sides to the table and allow them that opportunity. Right now, the most obvious mediator is a little bit out of it. The United States and the Trump administration has other priorities.
Let's talk to me about that more.
Yeah.
What has been your impression of the United States, the statements and the level of involvement from the U.S. here?
Well, it's been very interesting. The difference is this time Trump's first response was, well, I hope they sort it out, which is very different from him. He usually likes to say, I'm going to go there and fix it. Or if they have me, I'll fix it like that. This time, his first response was, well, I hope this gets resolved quickly, very passive. Now he's offering to go in there and mediate. That's different. The problem is we have no ambassadors. The Trump administration has really struggled to get ambassadors into India and Pakistan. And Trump himself clearly does not understand the nature of the conflict. He said yesterday, well, these countries have been fighting for centuries. These countries have not existed for centuries. They're 78 years old. There are old and long-standing grievances, but if you start from the assumption that, oh, these people have been fighting for centuries, that's not a good place for a mediator to start. A mediator has to understand what is at stake for both countries. He has to understand what each side is prepared to give and what each side needs to take in order to walk away from the table and declare victory. And it's not clear to me that the American president has that understanding of the situation.
Spider, what can go wrong here?
Well, both nations are nuclear armed. That's the primary concern. I mean, that's the bar over which we hope they cannot even get close to crossing. That's the big concern. Look, those are again, very professionally manned, and there are protocols around those. So I think we should be aware of that, probably not too concerned. But if Pakistan responds, and if then India responds, we're now into a cycle of action, reaction, counteraction, and that doesn't always have a good off-ramp.
And Bobby, it seems, I know there's an element, the word you used to me, the break is kabuki theater to this, where India and Pakistan have gone through instances of this before. But it does feel as if the nations are pushing the boundaries maybe a little more than we've seen in the past.
Yes.
You know, the shooting out of 5 aircraft, allegedly, you know, shooting inside the borders exclusively. Are they pushing the boundaries of what could be kabuki theater?
They kind of have to each time, and that's the risk with these kinds of long-standing conflicts. Every time there is a spasm of violence, there is almost by sort of natural law, each spasm tends to be worse than the one before. And the real concern, as Spider said there, is that because these two are nuclear-armed countries, you worry that each spasm might get to the point where of no return. That's the real concern. Yes, both countries have, the leadership in both countries have a lot of experience in managing these kinds of crises, but each side feels like we've got to land one more blow, one more jab every time. And the trouble is that when one side goes too far, and then the thing really begins to careen out of control. That's the worst case scenario. We're not there yet, I should be very clear.
No.
But the trouble is, and that's the ultimate challenge here, is that even when this particular spasm is resolved, and let's hope that is quickly, the underlying problem doesn't go away. We'll come back to this place. If it's not 2 years from now, then it's 5 years, or hopefully longer than that.
Right.
But we come back to this problem as long as the central problem, which is of Kashmir, does not get addressed.
Bobby Ghosh, Spider Marks, great to see both of you. Thank you very much.